And welcome to Philadelphia. The Marlins and the Phillies, middle game of a three-game set here at Citizens Bank Park. A Saturday night where, believe it or not, folks, we actually saw the sun a little bit today. Turns out the sky is still blue beyond the clouds. The Philly fanatic is back at it as always, entertaining here in Philadelphia. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth with you. All right, so we saw the sun. Now we just got to figure out a way to get some wins here for the Marlins.
Well, right. We saw the sun, but the sky is not falling. I mean, maybe that's the right way to look at it. Listen, this Philadelphia Phillies lineup erupted last night. They had been struggling, but they found their power stroke. 5 home runs in last night's ballgame.
That's right. They snapped a 5-game skid with the win last night, scored 14 runs last night. They had 17 runs scored during that 5-game losing streak.
Right, and I think that's kind of what you pick up on. We talked about how important this series is for the Philadelphia Phillies. They needed to show up if they were hoping to make up some ground against the Atlanta Braves. Well, listen, that opportunity still presents itself for the Marlins tonight. You see all the offense that was the byproduct of last night's ball game. It's a similar dynamic tonight. Harlan Garcia, lefty, going up against an entirely right-handed Philadelphia Phillies lineup. So it worked for the Phillies last night. That'll be the challenge for Harlan Garcia tonight, is that he's going to see an awful lot of righties.
And he also may not be around very long, and that's not just because of any sort of performance. It's just kind of the plan going into this ball game, as the Marlins are going kind of a bullpen game today. We knew this the last few days, so it's going to be Harlan Garcia to start it up.
Well, and maybe that's the angle here in this ball game. I think it's going to be an interesting one because we know Gabe Kapler likes to move guys in and out of that lineup. We'll see how this goes when it's going to be a bullpen game from the Marlins side of this, how willing he is to get other players involved. We'll see.
Middle game of a 3-game set here at Citizens Bank Park. We step aside. We've got the first pitch. Oh, from Philly. That's nice. I like that. Creative back in the truck. Nicely done. Back in a moment. To hide by WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today, and buy your South Florida Toyota dealers. Well, not as windy at first pitch tonight as it was yesterday, but the temperature is still very, very comfortable. It seems like we have endured quite a bit of rain. The entire eastern seaboard certainly has endured a lot of rain. Hopefully everybody in the Carolinas or that was affected by the hurricane is safe and sound. Here in Philadelphia, 76 degrees, just a 5-mile-an-hour wind, partly cloudy, but we can report that from Philadelphia we saw the sun for about 15 minutes today. And it was nice.
And then the clouds came back.
And then the clouds came back because they missed us so darn much. Right. So Vince Velasquez is on the mound. 28th start for the Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher.
Yeah, career high 28th start. His first home start since August 15th. So it's been just about a month. In fact, entire month long. Made, 4 straight road starts. He's pitched pretty well against the Marlins this season. 2.08 ERA, 3 starts against those Marlins. 5.02 ERA here at Citizens Bank Ballpark, 6-5 record. His last start, a loss to the New York Mets. He only lasted 4 innings, 5 earned runs. Go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report while we've got a few moments here. Less is more. No more than 5 innings pitched in any of his last 6 starts. 84 pitches is his high. So like Eflin last night, Velasquez is going to be watched very carefully tonight. Now he has been vulnerable. The big inning, it's been his #1 issue here of late. 4 of his last 6 starts, he's had an inning in which he's given up 3 runs or more. And I think generally speaking, as I mentioned, Velasquez, career high 138 innings pitched. His stuff is just kind of trending. Well, I shouldn't use the word trend. It's just been slightly worse than it was earlier this season. Like you look at his fastball batting average against, and it's his primary go-to pitch, 101 strikeouts, right? 4-seam fastball. You know, it's down about a half a mile an hour, and hitters are hitting it just a little bit more than they were before. He hasn't been giving up long balls. It's just been a little bit more. The whip is really what's up more than anything.
Yeah, just 2 homers in his last 52 2/3 entering this one as the 0-1 pitch to JT Riddle is outside. A ball and a strike to JT, who leads things off for the Marlins tonight. A look at their starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. Riddle, Anderson, Real Muto to get things going. Castro, Dietrich, Brinson before Dean and Sierra. That one laced into the seats down the right field line and foul. A ball and 2 strikes to JT Riddle, who had his first multi-hit game last night since September 1st. So back at the top of the lineup, trying to jumpstart the Marlins, who are trying to upset the playoff picture as best they can at this point. Certainly struggled on the road recently in the second half of this season. And Velasquez has his first strikeout.
Well, up out of the strike zone for Velasquez. 102nd strikeout on the 4-seam fastball this season. All right, here's the Phillies defensively for tonight's ball game. Altair once again in left field. I would have been surprised if he was not out there. Quinn, Batista over in right. Santana, Kingery, Hernandez, Hoskins, Ramos once again behind the plate. It's identical to last night. And the reason I said that, Altair had a career night, 4 hits, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. A lot of players for the Philadelphia Phillies had big nights last night. I kind of came to the yard today thinking, boy, I know they like to switch the lineup around, but if they don't duplicate that lineup tonight, I'd be shocked.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
You generally would think that, but of course it's, you know, we know how things go here in Philly. Things change just sometimes for change's sake.
Right. Tonight, not the case. Same plan of attack for manager Gabe Kapler, who has had some ups and downs this season for the Philadelphia Phillies. Of course, they know at this point in time that the Atlanta Braves lost a game today. So at the moment, 7 back in the East. They do have not a lot of time left just in terms of the season, a little over 2 weeks, but we keep reminding you that they have 7 of their last 11 games against the Braves, as Brian Anderson may have broken his bat on the ground ball to Kingery for out number 2. So for the Phils, it's really just a matter of staying within striking distance once you get to that part in the schedule. And certainly they will be or should I say must-win games, but make it so that they at least count. And again, the Nats beat Atlanta today 7-1.
Well, I mean, that's a classic example, Paul, of what today represents. I think, you know, we talk about this all the time. How do clubhouses react? You know, scoreboard watching. The Philadelphia Phillies took the field today. They know that the Washington Nationals beat the Atlanta Braves 7-1. Isn't a guy on the field today that doesn't know that? He should. And so maybe a little bit more goes into that. Guys, real important game. We got to go get it. Hey, look out at the scoreboard. We got a chance to make up some ground.
JT Realmuto, a home run in yesterday's ball game. 21 homers, 71 RBIs as he takes the ball upstairs, 1-1. Last 15 for JT, a little over 300. 2 doubles, 5 homers, 10 RBIs in that 15-game stretch. And with the home run last night, that is 3 home runs in his last 3 games against the Philadelphia Phillies. Home plate umpire tonight is Jim Wolf. DJ Rayburn is over at first. Chris Siegel, the second base umpire, and the crew chief Alfonso Marquez is over at third. Chase that one upstairs, maybe a little north of the zone at 94 miles an hour. They count full 3-2.
That's really going to be the challenge tonight. Velasquez loves to live at the top of the zone. Primary pitch, again, we talk curveball, that's down, but doesn't throw it nearly as much as the elevated fastball, and he picks up a lot of strikeouts there for the Marlins hitters. Got to get him down in the zone.
2 strikeouts in the first inning for Velasquez. Marlins go down in order. Harlan Garcia takes the ball next. Top of the inning, Phillies come to bat against Harlan Garcia in the home half. Cesar Hernandez will lead things off for the Phillies. The rest of their lineup is presented to you by Southwest. Up and down the lineup, guys hit home runs last night. Hoskins, Bautista, Aaron Altair had a couple. Roman Quinn, 345, and he is in the 7th spot today against Harlan Garcia, who gets the start tonight. Hasn't started in a while, but we know this going in. He will not be around for long. Marlins are going to utilize their bullpen quite a bit today.
Well, this is the one thing Harlan has done best this season. You see the 5.05 ERA, and of course that seems a bit bloated. It is. It's up over 5, but the point is that he struggled more as a reliever than as a starter this season. He got a 3.55 ERA as a starter. Now, this is his 4th appearance against the Phillies. 1 start, 2 relief appearances, 12 innings, and a 3.75 ERA.
His first pitch to Cesar Hernandez, thought about the bunt and takes strike 1.
I think back to Harlan, the first time he was on the mound this season as far as starting. Absolutely dominant. One of 3 starters in Marlins history to allow 1 or 0 runs in each of his first 3 starts. for the Marlins.
And that doesn't even include how good he was out of the pen the first couple of times.
Well, and that's kind of
right?
what set the tone, and then it was, you know, things got a little off kilter, I'll say, towards the end. I think that last start, and then he went back to the bullpen, and it's been a little hot and cold since.
Ball and 2 strikes to Cesar Hernandez, who sends one toward the right center field gap, and tracking it down is Magnaoris Sierra. Nice play in the gap for out number 1.
Let's go ahead and get you the Marlins defensively. Dean once again getting the start in left field. Brinson in center. Sierra, nice running catch in right. Anderson, Riddle, Castro, Dietrich, JT Realmuto behind the plate. Harlan Garcia on the mound for now.
Here's Rhys Hoskins. Takes a called strike.
Hoskins has had himself a pretty impressive season. He's the first Philly to collect 90 RBI, 80 walks, 30 doubles, and 30 homers since 2004. Bobby Abreu last did it. There you go.
A home run in last night's ball game, 31 on the year. Left field, hooking, foul. Team leader with 33 doubles, 31 homers, the 91 RBIs. There's been some up and down for him as well, but one of those seasons where, again, a couple of weeks to tack onto it, but it's inside for ball 1. And at the end of it, you'll look at his first full season and probably sit back and say, all right, I think we can work with this.
14 home runs in the first half in 86 ball games, 17 home runs here in the second half.
Backhanded by Castro, and a strike to Dietrich for out number 2. So Castro on the left side of the infield there with the shift is able to make the play, and that'll bring up Jose Bautista. So the plan tonight for Garcia is to not allow him to hit, and certainly meaning that Don Mattingly said that in a positive sense, was we don't want him to hit. He was asked, well, what if his spot comes up in the first inning? He said, well, maybe we'll change. That means we'd scored some runs. But again, the plan is probably to have him go once through the order and then move on to the bullpen. 2-0 to Bautista. 12 homers, 45 RBIs for him this year. He's been with 3 different clubs in the National League East, as this one is a cue shot up the first base line. Garcia tags him out, and a 1-2-3 first inning for Harlan the Marlin. Back to Philly in a minute.
weekend long, starting on Thursday, September 20th through Sunday, September 23rd, as the Marlins take on the Reds. There will be a special surprise for fans each game during the series, from Throwback Thursday to swag bags and more. For more information, to get your tickets, visit marlins.com/fan appreciation.
Starlin Castro leads things off and takes a called strike. Castro, Dietrich, Brinson, 4, 5, and 6 in the second inning against Vince Velasquez. Grounded foul, 0-2 to Starlin, who has a handful of multi-hit games in his last 14. Fouled away, still 0-2. Cut on and missed. That's the third strikeout tonight for Velasquez.
Well, there's 2 strikeouts in that first inning. Elevated fastballs. This, the curveball. This is his number 1, well, I should say primary secondary pitch. Probably the best way to say it. Get the 1s and 2s mixed up sometimes, but there you go. That's the curveball.
So 3 strikeouts of the first 4 batters faced for Velasquez. And now it's Derek Dietrich. Stay tuned. 7th inning. We've got the Ram game break. Check back in with the studio. Gabby Sanchez, Tommy Hutton holding down the fort with Craig Minervini. Dietrich out to center field, and that one is off the wall. So a double for Dietrich. Had to give that one a beat because there's that, it's like those windows in the wall. You're not quite sure.
I think it hit the sill, is what it hit. Sill in the window. Watch, just above the padded part, halfway up. Yep, sure did. Went straight up. Good swing of the bat by Dietrich. After chasing a fastball at the top of the zone, he's going to jump all over a changeup. That is the one pitch that Velasquez, and that's the first changeup he's thrown, and that's why you mention things, you know what I mean? It's like he doesn't even throw it that much. I'll explain myself quickly. He only throws that changeup about 9% of the time. Doesn't do it much, but it definitely stands out. His hitters have been hitting well over 500 against it in the last 6 games, so I dismissed it.
Right.
Thinking there's no way he's going to throw his changeup tonight. It's going to be fastball and the curveball. And the first changeup he throws, what happens?
It's hit about 400 feet, 6 inches.
Right. There you go. Nice job by Dietrich staying back and driving that off the wall.
Two balls and no strikes now to Lewis Brinson with Dietrich away from second base. That one misses low, says the home plate umpire Jim Wolf, and it's 3-0. Brinson hitting over 300 since being added to the roster at the beginning of the month. And you like the doubles and the RBIs and the multi-home run games, but also only 9 strikeouts in that span. And of course, strikeouts were an issue in the first couple of months of the season. 13 for 43 since coming back. Hitters count for Brinson. Swings and misses, and it's 3-2. And Brett Graves up in the Marlins bullpen. They give you an indication as to how far Don Mattingly plans on going with Harlan Garcia tonight. And Brinson strikes out 95 miles an hour right at the top of the zone. That's 4 for Velasquez.
Now 3 of the 4 at the top of the zone. Give you another look. We mentioned coming in already a career high 101 strikeouts in the four-seam fastball for himself personally this season. He's added 3 more. And where he likes to go with that fastball.
Austin Dean, a couple of hits in last night's ball game, including a double. So one would think if Garcia's spot does not come up in the second, he would get to pitch in the bottom of the second inning, just given what the skipper said prior to the game tonight. Velasquez deals the 1-0 to Dean, and he takes a strike. Velasquez has pitched well against the Marlins in this ballpark. 4-0 with a 1.47 career ERA here at Citizens Bank Park against Miami. Dietrich still on at second base after the 1-out double to dead center field. 2-1 to Austin Dean. Fouled off at home plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Phillies got the win in last night's ball game, but still have lost 23 of 35 overall, and one of the reasons why they've fallen so far behind the Atlanta Braves in the National League East. Tiny bit closer at the start of the day in the wild card, 5 back at the competition. But certainly these last few weeks will be an uphill climb for the Phils. Dean out to center field. Quinn moving over. That's going to fall in for a base hit. Dietrich will come around to score, and Dean drives in Dietrich. Marlins with a 1-0 lead.
I'll tell you what, Austin Dean has had some impressive at-bats. Certainly starting to figure out what part of the field he loves to go to. We've seen it here in Philly, saw it yesterday, right center field, staying on the fastball away and driving it away. That is not the elevated fastball. That's 95 thigh high, outer third. Easily gets Dietrich in for the first run of the ball game.
So now it's Sierra. Peter O'Brien has moved into the on-deck circle. That's the pitcher spot. Garcia next. Sierra takes a strike, 0-1. Garcia knew he wasn't going to be around long tonight, but he might be a little torn, right? If he gets the second inning of work, that means it's only a 1-run lead. And if he's done after an inning, that one just foul. And that means the team is perhaps trying to add on some more. But for right now, it's up to Sierra to battle with a 2-strike count on him. A run home and 2 outs in the top of the second inning. Again, Graves closer to getting ready. The 0-2 pitch to Sierra bounces home. Ramos blocks it to keep Dean over at first. Out to left field, coming in Altair. He won't get there. It's a base hit to Sierra. And it looks like Peter O'Brien is going to make his way to the plate with 2 on and 2 out.
A quality at bat from Sierra. Nice job by Harlan Garcia. One clean inning of work. A couple pats on the back. Well, the Marlins know that today is going to be a bullpen day. Peter O'Brien steps in here. 0 for 2 pinch hitting this season. In his career, 6 for 19. Does have a couple of home runs. And I'll tell you what, up close and personal today during batting practice, this young man has got some pop.
Takes that one low. They'll check no swing. We've seen it a lot on this road trip, though.
Well, right. And I guess maybe the way that I like to say it, he's got excuse me power, which, you know, listen, big league hitters, they barrel up. Most guys are going to hit the ball over the fence. They can probably do it, you know, a little more consistently. Some guys can't, some guys can't, but you know where I'm going. He's a big guy.
Right.
He's got that inch or two that I talk below the barrel and above the barrel. He can still hit the ball out of the yard.
Well, that home run that he hit in New York was his first since September of 2016 when he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but he does have 3 extra base hits on the trip. Had a double in Pittsburgh, the homer in New York, and the double last night. And he is in a hitter's count here. 2 balls and no strikes. A run home on the Dean RBI single. Marlins looking for more against Velasquez. 3 balls and no strikes.
Let him swing.
Do you?
Yeah. Let the big guy swing. He gets a fastball in the zone, see what he can do with it. It's about as predictable a pitch you're going to get. And he missed. All right, good at bat. Base is going to be loaded for JT Riddle. One of the hottest Marlins hitters right now.
And out to the mound goes pitching coach Rick Kranitz for the Phillies. As this inning started with a strikeout, the 3rd of the 4 batters faced for Velasquez, and then Derek Dietrich with a double to center field that didn't miss a home run by much. Hit about halfway up the center field wall. Brinson struck out, but then an RBI single from Dean. A good at bat with a single the other way from Sierra before the walk for O'Brien.
Yeah, and this has been the path of Velasquez over his 6 starts or so. Last 6 starts. You know, there's some good in there, and as I said, his numbers haven't necessarily trended in a way that you're like, well, yeah, sit back, his fastball's just getting smashed. Kind of what's been going on is what you've been seeing. He's been vulnerable to the big inning. His ERA is up over 6 over his last 6 starts, so it's got to be explained away somehow. It hasn't been the long ball. He's just been marginally worse or not as good as he was in the first half.
Right. Now back to the top of the order. JT Riddle takes low, and Velasquez just having a tough time commanding the fastball. Four for 14 in his career with the bases loaded is Riddle. 2 for 6 this year. And that one is a called strike. So Velasquez, who I said it a moment ago, hasn't exactly been around the zone, gets the benefit of that call.
Yeah, he did. Got a little help on the outside edge. It's not JT's pitch, so he's taking it either way. Now lefties better numbers against than the righties. 268 for the lefties. 12 of the 15 home runs he has surrendered to the lefties.
Now a Pitcher on the ropes in Velasquez. And a situation like this, Marlins will certainly take the one, but want more. Phillies fans trying to will Velasquez through this inning. Riddle trying to tack on to a 1-0 lead. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Foul back.
See the number of pitches by inning, clearly struggling much more in the second, up to 29 pitches now, 42 for the game. He better be really careful. I know he's got the pitcher's count. He likes to elevate the fastball, but when JT Riddle is as hot as he is right now, if he makes a mistake with that fastball near the plate, he could do some damage.
Here it comes. And Riddle, right field, and back is Bautista. It's off the wall. Dean scores, Sierra scores, O'Brien rounding third, a bases clearing double for JT Riddle, and the Marlins have taken a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, talk about capitalizing on a big inning. It certainly was a trend coming into this ball game. Velasquez so vulnerable right now to them. You see how he missed up in the zone, but not up enough. JT right on time. I told you he has been swinging the bat as well as anybody. Gets just enough off the right field wall and unloads the bases. And that big inning has struck him once again. Now his last seven starts, he's had a 3+ run inning in 5 of them.
And now action in the Phillies bullpen as Arano is up. All 4 of the Marlins runs have scored with 2 outs in the inning. Here's Brian Anderson. 1-1. He struck out 4 of the first 6 men he faced, and then it's like he had a tough time putting away Sierra. Nothing really all that competitive to O'Brien, and couldn't put away Riddle. Marlins capitalize. Anderson a half swing, 1-2.
You're right. Well, I mean, it really kind of comes down to the sequencing, Paul, and I think.
And Riddle is tagged out on his way to third. I think he lost count of the strikes, because he's checking with Freddie Gonzalez as to what the count was. We'll step aside, get a better understanding when we come back. Riddle, who just got confused a little bit on the count. You can see right there, kind of thinks the inning's over. The Phillies notice it, and then he gets tagged out for the third out of the inning. But you can see him checking with Freddie Gonzalez. Thought that was 3 strikes. But the big hit nonetheless.
Marlins up 4-0 as we head to the bottom of the second
There
inning.
you go, exactly. And their second pitcher is Brett Graves in his 18th game this season.
Now, Graves has been throwing the ball well. 7 of his last 9 games have been scoreless appearance. How about a 2.40 ERA? So he's been working that ERA down. He heads up for the lefties. I love the matchup. He fits right in. He's handled the righties pretty well. 240 batting average against the lefties. Stronger numbers. Batting average just a bit below 400.
Wilson Ramos to lead things off. Carlos Santana, Aaron Altair in the second for the Phils. .15 homers, 67 RBIs for Ramos. Combined across 2 clubs this year. Started the year with the Tampa Bay Rays. An all-star with the Rays. Did not play in the game, however. Outside, 3 balls and no strikes. However, with the Phillies, an even .400 hitter with a home run and 14 RBIs. And that was ball 4. Close. Okay. 1 on, nobody out here in the second inning. As Carlos Santana is set to dig in.
Hey Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Strike to Carlos Santana, who has reached base safely in a season high, tying 19 straight games. Takes that one inside, 1-1, and he's also done his damage in the last 8 games he's played against the Marlins, hitting .429, getting on base about 53% of the time, with the slugging percentage a little less than .700.
Yeah, he's got a couple home runs in those 8 games.
This one hit well out to left. Dean turns around, and that one gets over his head. So a double for Santana. Seemed like once Dean spun around is where that one kind of went upside down on him.
Well, he did everything right as far as getting himself into position, and listen, turning back to the other shoulder, nothing wrong there. He just whiffed on the catch, Paul. I got to be honest with you. Everything was right until he needed to make that catch. I think you see him shaking his head because he knows it. Again, good footwork, good drop step. Went back to the left side, back to the right to make the catch, but whiffed on the catch. Yeah, they're going to give him an error.
Not the guy you want to come to the plate after last night with a couple of guys on and nobody out. Aaron Altair as a cross up. Let's take you back to last night for Altair. Big night for him.
Well, certainly was. First start in the month of September, looking to be a spark plug. I think we all probably came away not just impressed with what we saw from him offensively, the 2 long home runs, the 4 hits, but the great base running. Remember, he scored from second on a ground out.
That's right. That first pitch to Altair, here's the cross-up.
He was expecting something totally different. Called for the slider and got a 93-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. JT in a position to almost catch it like a football player.
Looking for the local. Got the express. So the Marlins scored 4 in the top of this inning, and I'm sure the last thing they want to do is give anything back, but backs against the wall. That last pitch, however, was called a strike. And now it's 0-2. Been successful with runners in scoring position this season. He's got 2 of them right now. Graves delivers. Blocked by JT. Ramos started the inning with a walk, and then the 2-base error for Santana. The 1-2 to Altair, a little wide, 2-2. Full with Roman Quinn on deck. That home run last night for Altair, his first since June 6th. 75 plate appearances in between homers. Quinn also had a home run last night. 3-2. They will be loaded for the aforementioned Quinn. Offensive outburst last night for the Phillies. Roman Quinn getting into the mix as well.
Yeah, that's the first pitch he saw. He was on his game last night, no doubt about it. He's now reached base safely in 13 straight starts, hitting .380 for the word spark plug. We need him in the lineup every day, kind of thrown around by the Phillies. Been dealing with a bit of a fractured foot. I know it's his right foot. He's got a pad over it when he hits. Maybe the right way to say it is the Philadelphia Phillies want more Roman Quinn. As much as he can give them here in the month of September. If he can play, he's going to play. 2 home runs, 8 RBIs in the last 13.
Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Oh, by the way, the fastest guy on the field.
Even with a broken foot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Last night was a pretty good example of that.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. That is a huge strikeout for Brett Graves. 1 away here in the second.
Yeah, able to go to the same spot twice after getting the swing and miss on Quinn for strike number 2 at 94, just above the hands. Top of the zone, went right back up there. Good call by JT. Went that exact same spot, able to hit it.
Well, Scott Kingery due up, but it will not be him. Rather, as Asdrubal Cabrera. Hitch hitting in the second inning is Gabe Kapler.
I've heard stories of these things that have been going on here in Philly for the month of September. I know this team's been struggling just a little bit, but you know, pinch hitting for some of the guys early in ball games, not just switching out the players, the pitchers, but the players as well.
Right.
You know, Cabrera 3 for 10 this season. Now, of course, we know he's got good numbers against the Marlins. He's been hitting tons of home runs. this season, 7 home runs,
including homers in 4 straight.
I was a little bit surprised he wasn't in the lineup yesterday. He's in the lineup now.
Ball and a strike. And Justin Bohr has moved into the on-deck circle with Vince Velasquez due up next.
Well, the Philadelphia Phillies want this game tied, and they want it tied now. Sending up all the big boys here in the bottom of the second. Cabrera 3 for 10 pinch hitting this season, does have a home run.
He's done it against the Marlins in 2 uniforms. 16 games with the Mets and the Phillies against Miami. Yes, just 254 average, but 7 homers and 13 RBIs.
Like the same swing every time, isn't it? Same finish. My goodness.
But Graves has him set up a ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. You get the feeling we might be here a while tonight?
I was trying not to let my mind go there, but since you bring it up, yes.
Yeah, usually I don't like to jinx it, but I'm actually shooting for the reverse jinx right here. Like, oh, this one got done in a tidy 2 hours and 14 minutes.
Not happening.
And back-to-back huge strikeouts for Graves.
I'll tell you what, he's not through this second inning yet, but he's done some of the big lifting. My goodness, boxed himself in with the bases loaded. Strikes out Quinn, who's been hot. Cabrera, we just showed you the what he has done against the Marlins this season. 7 home runs, huge pitch there. Great arm side run, 94 miles an hour. He's 1 hitter away, but he has got to get through JB Justin Bohr. 5 for 15 this season pinch hitting with 3 homers and 8 RBIs. The Marlins do know an awful lot about that.
Swings at the first pitch and loops it foul down the left field line. And we've seen it quite a bit when he, of course, started the season with the Marlins. And has been relegated to more of a bench role for the Phillies since the trade. He's 8 for 33, couple of doubles, a home run, 2 RBIs and 3 walks with Philadelphia. StatCast AI powered by AWS. And stays up the middle for the most part, pulls on the ground towards second base the most. And off the glove of Anderson and into left field. 2 runs will score. Dean overran it, and up to third goes Altair. 4-2.
Well, Justin Bohr comes through once again for the Philadelphia Phillies. His second pinch hit, first hit against his old team. And he goes the other way. Bases loaded, lines it off the glove of Anderson. Dean bobbled it just a little bit in the outfield. Now 10 RBIs as a pinch hitter in 2018 for Justin Bohr.
You know, you've been teasing me all year. You got to go up to him and tell him he should be a pinch hitter. You know what? Now I don't have a problem doing it because he's on the other side. And I can, you know,
Tell him tomorrow.
Pivot and run away faster. Back to the top of the order for Cesar Hernandez, who flew out to right field in the first inning. Early offense on both sides. 4 in the top of this inning for Miami. Phillies with 2 thus far and still runners on the corners. This one grounded foul. And both starters, albeit for different reasons, done rather early as well. Cut on and missed. A ball and 2 strikes. Short, backhanded by Riddle, and they go the short way to get Moore at second. Phillies get 2 back, but the Marlins up a pair.
Just the other day, Marlins hitting coach Frank Menechino joined our broadcast, talked about the importance of consistently keeping Anderson in the lineup throughout the course of September so that he could learn about the grind of a full season in the big leagues. I talked to Anderson about that, asked him what he is learning, and he told me that pushing through the mental grind is much tougher than pushing through the physical grind. Physically, you can always do something to make your body stronger, but mentally, it is tough to battle through, especially when you're filling your head with notes on pitchers, watching a ton of game film. And Todd, I'm curious from your perspective, what lessons did you learn as a rookie about getting through a full season?
The 2 things that stand out, first of all, the month of September, which Brian Anderson is clearly in, that extra month. You've got 25, 30 more ball games. You don't have that in the minor league season. You really don't have it anywhere else. You can only learn it here at the major league level. And with that comes doubling, tripling, quadrupling up on pitchers. That's another thing that very rarely gets talked about other than maybe in this bubble here. The point being, Brian Anderson is now facing guys for, that 3rd and 4th time. In the minor leagues, you don't do that. I mean, you make your stops. You go through A ball, AA, AAA. Sometimes you do it in the same season. Maybe you'll see a guy twice. Up here, that's the key. It's not getting here. It's staying here and finding ways to succeed against pitchers over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, for example, tonight's starter, and there have been changes for the Phillies, Cabrera is in at short. This is the 4th time the Phillies have thrown Velasquez at the Marlins.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect example. He's seen Pivetta. I think Pivetta's on the schedule for tomorrow.
Right.
But when you face a team in your division, you're going to face Scherzer 3 or 4 times a season. Nola 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, that's the game. That's the cat and mouse that you start to play against guys because you build resumes. Boy, oh boy, he handles the Nola fastball really well, but maybe not the Arrieta fastball. Doesn't see it the same way. So you've got a game plan. You've got to learn. You've got to learn your own strengths. You've got to learn your own weaknesses.
Of course, Velasquez out, was pinch hit for in the bottom of the 2nd inning, so it's Victor Arano in. After Anderson, Real Muto and Castro for the Marlins in the 3rd. Last game of this road trip tomorrow. Jose Urena and Nick Pavetta will get the ball for the Philadelphia Phillies. Marlins live pregame show on the air at 1. First pitch a little after 1:30. Anderson pops this one back.
I know one thing that Brian Anderson's going through right now that I went through my rookie season, very similar. I was a very good first ball fastball hitter. In fact, I was kind of known as that throughout my career. When I got to the big leagues, you know what you get a lot of? First pitch fastballs, because they don't know who you are. And Brian Anderson had, as we know, in the first half, and certainly a large percentage of the season, been mopping up those first pitch fastballs. Base hits up the middle, going the other way. We've seen it multiple times. Well, what ends up happening is they stop giving you first pitch fastballs to hit, regardless of the velocity, and they start throwing you off. He's going to have to find how to earn his strikes back, and I guess that's kind of where this one goes.
Morano's 2-2 pitch swung on and missed for the first out in the third.
Miami, join us for our final neighborhood nights of 2018. September 22nd, we are inviting residents of Pinecrest to come and enjoy an evening at the ballpark. On September 23rd, South Miami and Westchester are invited to celebrate their community. For more information, visit marlins.com/neighborhood.
Real Muto takes a called strike. JT a strikeout victim back in the first inning. One of 4 for Velasquez in his 2 innings of work. 4 strikeouts, 4 hits, and 4 runs. Nothing in 2. And I would imagine that the other thing that's maybe a little bit more difficult nowadays than when you were Rookie of the Year in 1996 is that there's a lot more scouting, analytics, video, all kinds of stuff.
Well, so video right off the top.
In a sense, and JT thankfully hit the knob of the bat there. Oof. And not a hand or a wrist. Maybe that sophomore slump moves up a month. It's not always in year 2 as much as it might be.
Well, the knowledge is
end.
more visual. It's as much visual as it is, advanced reports or scouting reports or paper that we read, or he's really good on the inside fastball, and even talking about it in hitters and pitchers meetings.
JT with the drive out to left center field. Quinn moving over near the wall, tracks it down for out number 2. A long run for Quinn, but even with that fractured foot, was able to make the play. Two outs for Castro. I mean, I would think even at the minor league level, the video is more sophisticated now than 20 years ago.
It is. I mean, and here's the other thing. It's sped up. I mean, it's there instantaneously. I guess what I'm getting at is if you need video on Brian Anderson from tonight's ball game, you can have it lickety-split 5 minutes after your game on the West Coast.
Right.
My generation, we're talking still a lot more VHS, and somebody had to tape the game, and it could be done, but it just definitely was much more of a process than it is today. And we talk about this all the time. We go back all 15 games around Major League Baseball. You and I can go through all of them in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
With the condensed game on MLB.com. Basically watch every Major League game around baseball in 30 to 45 minutes after those games wrap up.
High fly ball, right center field. Quinn on the edge of the track makes the catch. A 1-2-3 third for Arano. Marlins up 2. authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Found him. There he is. You're sitting in the front row. It's not really blending in too much.
Yeah, he was dancing around during the commercial break. Come on.
I mean, I get it. The Phillies uniform looks a little bit like Waldo. You know, with the red, white stripes and stuff. Yeah, last night was Halloween night. Aaron Altair dressed up like the power hitter. Fourth multi-home run game of his career. He's due up a little bit later. It's Rhys Hoskins, Jose Bautista, and Wilson Ramos here in the third. Against Brett Graves, back out for his second inning of work. 1-2. You got the kids at home. Are you dressing up for Halloween? You doing that, or you're just kind of the chaperone of the walk around the neighborhood?
I haven't dressed up a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to talk myself into a better attitude about that.
I've been total of 6 people in your house.
I've been very hesitant about it. It's just effort, I think.
Right.
In a costume that works for me.
Right.
We should do that for Twitter Tuesday next week. What should I be for Halloween?
See that? Look at you mixing things up with the social media.
No,
as Hoskins strikes out for the first out in the third. I like it. Jessica's on it. She'll make a note of it. One out for Jose Bautista. Saw him in Atlanta uniform. And we saw him in a Mets uniform. Now a Phillies uniform as well. First player ever to hit a homer for 3 teams in one division in a season.
He tried hitting 2 home runs last night. Hit the top of the wall both times.
And he's got 2 weeks to become a Marlin and a National. I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. He's hitting third tonight for the Phillies, so
it can be tough to lift him from that.
Well, I don't think he's going to be available.
True. Austin Davis up for the Phillies.
Especially if he keeps hitting doubles off the wall.
Yeah. Breaking ball missed low, a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, it was only a few years ago we went to Disney World as a family. We were the Wiggles. So that worked out well. We all had shirts, and, you know, I was the purple Wiggle.
Very good.
I think it's about the last time I did it. I need to work on that. I would. You dress up?
You know, I haven't had the opportunity because in a previous life at MLB Network, I was either doing stuff for the World Series or heading out to Arizona for the Arizona Fall League. So I actually haven't had a Halloween at home in a while. As Bautista skies one to shallow center for Castro. And that's out number 2. But my son was dressed up as Mario.
Right. Well, then you clearly need some help because you're going to be dressing up this year.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. My son was Mario a few years ago.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mario, Nintendo Mario. Yeah. And my father-in-law dressed up as Luigi to play along. So that was cool. But me, I haven't done it yet. I would. Wilson Ramos, nobody on, 2 out. Graves got himself into some trouble in the second inning. That was his first inning of work. Walk, 2-base error, walk, loaded the bases. Then strikeout. Thought he might have had a chance to get out of it. Justin Bohr lined one off of Anderson's glove at third. That brought home 2. Before ultimately ending the inning there. He's gotten the first 2 outs here in the third and is up 2-0 with Ramos. So these guys basically, they just walk around or waddle around or flop around.
Yeah, listen, they do what the Philly fanatic tells them to do is what they do.
Well, He's the boss in these parts.
He is the boss.
Kind of the godfather of the mascot.
That's exactly right. So if the Fanatic says you're out in the left field pavilion tonight doing that, that's what you do.
Bessie's lost it.
There's a good chance that the Philly Fanatic ordered that up.
Wow.
This is Philly, you know.
He's a Broad Street bully. Look at him just mauling that guy. Goodness gracious. It's got to cost $8,000 for him to take a shower. Riddle up the middle. Sliding play. Retires Ramos. A 1-2-3 frame for Graves. Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, Jessica Blaylock. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. Derek Dietrich, look out, 92 hit by pitches in his career. That's the Marlins club record, has been for a while. He's tacked on about 20 of those since then, since he took the club lead. 15th among active players, 115th all time, and the highest in the modern era in terms of hit by pitches per plate appearance. Unfortunately, they have all been relatively glancing blows. Thank goodness. Austin Davis, in his 27th game this year out of the Phillies pen, delivers a strike. Now, it was Davis that a few weeks ago grabbed some headlines when he was on the mound, went to his back pocket to look at the card that had the scouting report and how to attack hitter A and B and C. And Joe West, the umpire and the crew chief on that crew that particular night, confiscated the card because he thought, in the spirit of the foreign substance rule, that there could possibly be a foreign substance on the card. Major League Baseball has since said it's okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because you'd think Joe would look at the card and realize that there's nothing on it and give it back to him, but he confiscated it and kept it. Must have had invisible ink on it.
Could have. Vaseline or something, who knows? I doubt it. Clearly not, but. Riddle's bases clearing double is currently the difference in this ball game as Lewis Brinson takes a ball in the dirt, 1-0. Brinson a strikeout victim in the second. That was against Vince Velasquez. A clean inning of work for Arano in the third, and now Davis working the fourth. And Nick Whitgren loosening up. Now the Marlins were going with a bullpen game by design, and it just happened to work out that way for the Phillies. They had Vince Velasquez start the game, and one would think that he'd be a little bit more stretched out than 2 innings and 46 pitches, but when Velasquez gave up the 4 runs and his spot came up, Gabe Kapler said, well, here's our opportunity to get back in this game. Went to the bench, and now dueling bullpens tonight.
Well, I think Vince Velasquez was probably on thin ice early. The reason I mentioned that, he had had a string of poor performances. I think, again, Eflin had been trending in that direction as well, but pitched well enough last night to keep himself in the ball game. The Phillies backed it up with some offense. Now, Velasquez, dominant stuff against the Marlins this season, but struggled 4 earned runs.
Cabrera makes the play, 2 down.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Here's Austin Dean. RBI double that drove home the game's first run back in the second inning. Or RBI single, rather. A called strike.
Well, for Davis, you've seen the 4-seam fastball already, and the changeup has a good slider as well. Righties will see the slider and the changeup, as you just witnessed. Last pitch at 84 miles an hour. Lefties don't see the changeup. They just deal with the 4-seamer and that slider. And Davis will go an extra inning at times, so certainly may see him the next inning as well.
Whoa, look out. Right at the knees.
Literally get those feet out of the way.
Scorcher back into the second deck near us. The 1-2 from Davis. Up the middle, backhanded by Hernandez. Double clutch,
beat it,
and that cost him. Dean beats it out. It'll be an infield single. Hernandez was already played back up the middle, but a little double clutch.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dean got a little advantage. He was reaching for the pitch away, as you said, to the backhand for Hernandez, but the effort is where the reward is, and you see him reaching for the bag right there. Hernandez just took his time. Dean was hustling all the way. 2 steps out of the box, he was at about full speed.
And now Sierra lays down the bunt. Ramos
safe,
throws high, and Sierra beats it out. So an infield single and a bunt single, and that will bring up Chris Bostic.
Now gets it to the infield grass is where you want it to ideally go, because it kind of deadens there, but Sierra, he too got out of the box fast, flying down the line. Tell you what, Wilson Ramos is good, but he's no JT Realmuto. Now Bostic 2 for 6 on the season, pinch hitting. He's got an RBI.
0-1 on the way. Throw down to second, and Dean is back safely. The dirt, a ball and 2 strikes. So I've seen Whitgren up. The Marlins did get 2 innings of work out of Graves. So it kind of works out perfectly. Figure they would have gone to a pinch hitter in this spot regardless, or at least a new pitcher. The 1-2, a little low. Good take.
Played off a couple of changeups away. He sticks with the pattern. He should see a fastball in here. He may not. Another changeup.
Got on and missed for the final out of the inning. 3.5 in the books. 4-2 Marlins. Brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic. Trust the #1 hospital in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, with your care. And by Simply Healthcare. Live the Simply life. Good look at Philadelphia. Last trip here in 2018. One more road trip to go after this. Marlins are home for a 6-game homestand Monday and Tuesday against the Nats. And then the Reds in town Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday after an off day Wednesday. And then Washington, New York to wrap up the regular season. Nick Whitgren in his 28th game for the Marlins is their 3rd pitcher of this ball game. Carlos Santana, Aaron Altair, and Roman Quinn. The 3 batters he is scheduled to face here in the 4th inning with the Marlins in front 4-2.
Well, Whitgren has been as steady and predictable as any reliever for the Marlins since the start of September. 5 appearances, 5 2/3 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts. First
pitch swinging for Santana is fouled away. Santana reached on an error in the second inning. A two-base error by Austin Dean. And speaking of, Dean's infield single has been changed to an E4 for bookkeeping purposes. Santana, a fly ball out to center for Lewis Brinson. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey guys, it turns out for the past couple of weeks, Nick and his wife Ashley have been keeping a secret, a wonderful secret though. They are expecting a little one. Baby Wickren is due in March of 2019, so it's going to be a spring training baby. So congratulations to Nick and Ashley on their future child. Guys.
Yeah, congratulations to the Wickren family. Very exciting time.
Awesome. Look at that. He's on the mound right there at Marlins Park.
That's right. Already got a mini jersey ready to roll.
Mm-hmm.
It's called being prepared. Right? Like I don't know how your wife was. My wife had like the room painted, the crib, like for months.
Oh
ready.
Yeah, we were prepared.
Yeah. Gotta be.
Very much so.
If it were me,
maybe too prepared.
Yeah, if it were me, my son would have been sleeping on a towel for about 6 months. Well,
I see.
I'll get him a crib eventually,
right.
you know.
Right.
It'll work itself out. Not a big planner.
Right.
Aaron Altair walked back in the second inning.
Day by day.
That's right. Phillies have just the one hit. That was the Justin Bohr single that drove in two back in the second. Big swing from Altair. And two quick outs here in the fourth. The series wraps up tomorrow afternoon. Last of a three-game set and last of this three-city road trip. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live. The pregame show on the air at 1. Jose Urena and Nick Pivetta get it going a little after 1:30. Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, and Gabby Sanchez back in the studio in Florida. Roman Quinn bunts but takes a called strike. Quinn a strikeout victim back in the second. Congratulations to the Cleveland Indians today. They left no doubt a 15-0 win today over the Detroit Tigers, and their magic number was 1. So the Tribe clinching their third straight AL Central crown today.
Yeah, that's going out and finishing it off, isn't it?
I
believe I saw that. It was like 14-0 in the second inning.
Yeah. That plastic, I believe, is called, what is it, Visqueen? Is that what it's called or something like that? Yeah. You didn't know? Yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
No.
Yeah. I think that's what it's called. And that plastic that they line in the clubhouse so you guys can have your little party. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah. I believe that's what it's called.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Out to center field. Brinson racing back and is there to make the catch. Nicely done by Lewis Brinson in center field. A long run to take a hit away from Quinn. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock. Middle game of this 3-game series. Marlins a 2-run lead. Both teams scoring their runs in the second. That's JT Riddle, a big reason as to why the Marlins have that 2-run lead. He leads things off. He had that bases clearing double back in the second inning. After him, Brian Anderson and JT Realmuto. 1-1. Austin Davis in his second inning of work. A couple of strikeouts in the fourth for him. Four innings in the books tonight for Phillies pitchers. And 7 strikeouts recorded, so that means they've got 1,320 strikeouts. The second most strikeouts by a pitching staff in Phillies franchise history. Back in 2012, they struck out 1,385. One on the ground to first, knocked down by Hoskins, recovers, flips to Davis, and gets Riddle by a step, 1 away.
They don't get a run out of
Geico
it.
presents this day in Marlins history, September 15th, 2004. Mike Lowell, as Carl Pavano ties his shoe, a little trickery over at third base. Mikey Lowell, the directors on top of it that day. No, it's the hidden ball trick, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we had. We tagged out Brian Schneider.
Take our word for it. You know what? Listen.
I think Schneid's doctored the video because he didn't want to be embarrassed.
No, he doesn't. Well, he didn't need to be embarrassed because guess what? First of all, the Expos won that game that day, and Schneid's, and whether he got picked off or not, and by the way, if that's not the German Mike Lowell doppelganger, I don't know what is.
We'll step aside so you can digest that. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. The new Monopoly Jackpot Scratch-Offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Luis Garcia is in out of the Phillies pen. And he'll face Brian Anderson and deliver a strike with 1 out. So, all right, Brian Schneider, go ahead.
Well, and again, so we showed you the video right there. They pulled the hidden ball trick. As you saw Pavano tying his shoe over at third base. And he was kind of describing it to me today. You know, he said he was talking to his third base coach at the time about what was getting ready to happen and, you know, anything that might be on. And he said he just barely took his foot off the bag, and Mikey was just waiting for him. And as soon as he kind of lifted, he didn't even step off the bag. He merely just kind of put the weight, you know, on his other leg and kind of lifted his leg up and reset. But as soon as that leg came up, he got the tag on him, Mikey did, and got him out. I said, well, I got your back. And I said, to your defense, they won the game, the Montreal Expos did, 6-2. And, oh, by the way, Snides went 3 for 4 with a double. So there you go. You may have picked me off, but I think he got the last laugh.
Now, Mike Lowe pulled that twice
Yeah.
that day and another time against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's stealth over there.
He is.
He's also got somebody at the ballpark tonight that looks exactly like him.
Right.
And happens to be German.
Right.
6 degrees.
54th game for Garcia. He's set to deliver a 2-2 pitch to Anderson upstairs. Yeah, when we showed that guy. Oh, by the way, it's German Heritage Night here at the ballpark.
Well,
I think we
makes
kind
sense.
of buried the lead there. Yeah.
Well, I didn't assume that. I was just going off the hat.
Right.
It's probably got another name too, doesn't it?
It might. Septemberfest, something like that. Anderson grounds out for the second out in the inning. Two outs for JT Realmuto, who's got 18 home runs as a catcher, which is one shy of Charles Johnson. Now, overall, 21 home runs for him this year, but when he is playing the game as a catcher, he is one shy of CJ. That's your Florida Lottery in-game jackpot.
As you mentioned earlier, he's homered in 3 consecutive games against the Philadelphia Phillies, putting together one strong season. 283, 21 homers, 71 RBIs, and he's finishing strong. We've said it time and time again. I pointed it out at the beginning of the year. Of course, I think he had a little bit more offensive support, if you know what I mean, early on. He's still putting together quality at bats.
Well, he came out like gangbusters. Of course, was working his way back from an injury, so missed the first couple of weeks of the season. His first game back, which was at Yankee Stadium, homered to right center field. Really the only rough patch that he's had this year that's been any sort of extended period of time was maybe early to mid-August. But again, other than that, I mean, nobody's hitting 700 all year. So
well, he's hitting 306 against righties. I mean, that's the highest batting average in the National League against right-handed pitchers. Righty on righty. He's the best.
But called out on strikes, 98 miles an hour from Garcia. And it is the bottom of the 5th on the way. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock, a 4-2 Marlins lead as we are halfway through this one. Drew Rosinski is set to take over. The 27th game for him this season. Opponent sitting a little less than 250 against him. He is the 4th pitcher of the night tonight for the Marlins. It was Harlan Garcia who started, went the first inning, a 1-2-3 first. Marlins had a bit of a rally going in the second, which they scored 4 runs. So quickly to the bench for Don Mattingly, then 2 innings from Graves, an inning from Whitgren, and now Ruzitsky will face Asdrubal Cabrera. And it looks like Odubel Herrera has come into the on-deck circle. That's the pitcher spot due up next. And then Cesar Hernandez, 8-9-1 for the Phils.
He's done a nice job this year. Lefty's hitting .250 against him. Righty's .246. That first inning of work, Ruzitsky many times this season been called upon to give multiple innings of work. That first inning has been even better. .216 batting average against. He's gone 18 consecutive games without allowing a home run.
This is Cabrera's second at-bat of the game. Didn't start, but quick to the reinforcements was Kapler as well, as this one is lined off the wall in right field. Sierra digs it out, throw into second, not in time. A leadoff double for Cabrera.
This fastball turned around by Cabrera. We've seen this swing a number of times. The finish, the ability to pull velocity. He hits it hard off the right field wall and gets himself into scoring position. Start this 5th inning.
So it's Odubel Herrera off the Phillies bench. 21 homers, 65 RBIs for him this season. Slowed down considerably in September, however. 4 for 33 with a double and no RBIs.
It wasn't that long ago we were talking about a 41-game consecutive on-base stretch. Was it?
No.
May and June, I believe.
That's right.
Kind of not really early, but not late either. 1 for 4 as a pinch hitter this season. 12 for 30 in his career. Those are actually pretty strong numbers. 400 batting average.
It's been a weird year for him, as Herrera is able to get out of the way or not. Hit by the pitch. So 2 on, nobody out. Hey, he had that lengthy on base streak. He'd homered in 5 straight games.
It took Scherzer deep in what, back-to-back starts as well. And that ball is going to get him on the back thigh, just barely. Or not.
That's very close.
I think what's so interesting is that I kind of thought that it hit him because you heard the double hit on the way across as the pitch was coming in before it hit JT's glove. But you look at it on the video, it doesn't look like it hit him.
Well, not enough for the Marlins to attempt to challenge. Close. Edubre Ramos for the Phillies. Inside to Hernandez, 1-1. Fly ball and a ground out for Hernandez in the ball game. And now Hernandez to deep right field. A 3-run home run. Phillies are in front.
Elevated fastball once again, outer third for Hernandez. He knows he hit it right out of the box. 370 feet off the bat, 98 miles an hour.
And now Rhys Hoskins pops one up. This will reach the seats, 0-1. Well, Hernandez has been hot. That's his first hit tonight. But he's got now 7 RBIs in his last 5.5 games. 1-1. Hoskins 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out in the first, struck out in the third. Fly ball out to left. Dean will have room. And that is the first out. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Brian Miller, a competitive balance pick out of North Carolina in 2017. This year he had a little under 300, a .338 on base percentage, and was 40 of 53 in stolen base attempts at Jupiter and Jacksonville.
Impressive stolen base totals.
There's Jose Bautista inside. Oh for 2 for Jose. Mentioned earlier that the Cleveland Indians wrapped up their division with a win today. It looks very likely, as the Minnesota Twins are currently 67-80, that every team in the American League Central that doesn't reside in Cleveland will finish under 500 this year. Right now, Minnesota is 67-80. Detroit's 60-88, and they're in third place. White Sox 58-89, and the Royals 51-96.
Yeah, they've been able to dominate the Central Division even with complications on their roster. The slider from Rucinski, first strikeout of the ballgame. And wouldn't you agree? I believe their bullpen ERA has been hovering around the bottom 5 in Major League Baseball just about all season long. Despite that and some other things going on, they do have an incredibly potent offense. Strong starting rotation, but fair to say, if I were to ask you who had, going back to the beginning of the year, are you surprised the Cleveland Indians so easily won their division? I mean, degree of difficulty is where I'm going with this.
Right.
Like 0?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody would have guessed that on paper they would have won the division, but you're right. They have a chance at winning the division by 20 games.
Right.
And not even having anywhere close to the best record in baseball.
Well,
like it's one thing if the Red Sox, let's just say the Red Sox won 115
that was kind of my point.
games
Right.
or whatever they could win, that they win by 20 games. Oh, they had a great year.
I'm not even sure they'll get picked in the first round. Whoever they play.
I think as it lines up, they would get the Astros, right? Because the Red Sox would have the best record and get the wild card.
That's my point.
And that's past Dietrich, the base hit for Ramos. So they've clinched. Oh, one more look at the knock the other way.
Yeah, that's an elevated off-speed pitch. I believe that was his slider. Could have been the splitty, but it was up. It's not where he wants it. He wants it down in the zone. Ramos stays right on it. Good effort by Dietrich.
Now Carlos Santana with 1 on and 2 out. Upstairs to Santana. Came around to score in the second, flew out in the fourth. Three balls and no strikes. Aaron Altair waits on deck. Cut loose on 3-0. A 3-run home run by Cesar Hernandez has turned a 2-run deficit into a 1-run lead for the Phillies. First walk of the inning. But that will bring up Altair, 2 on, 2 out.
Well, Juan Nieves going to hustle out. Meeting with Ruzinski. JT Realmuto making his way out as well. Nobody up in the Marlins bullpen. It feels like one of those games, almost like we have to give a bullpen update every half inning.
That's right, yeah. Just lock a camera off on the bullpen. Got options out there, that's for sure. So 2 on and 2 out for Aaron Altair. Walked in the second, struck out in the fourth. And takes a called strike. Big swing and a miss. 94 from Ruzinski, 0-2. Able to spin away from that one.
Well, the splitty tonight has been a bit erratic.
Got him.
Nice.
Strikeout of Altair, but a 3-run home run for Cesar Hernandez has moved the Phillies in front. Greg, thanks so much. 3 homers today, 2 homers last night. The last time that there have been 5 home runs hit in consecutive games was a couple of years ago, Mookie Betts. And the last time a player had 5 home runs off 5 different pitchers in 2 games, Josh Reddick in 2013. Edubre Ramos takes over his 47th game this season. Starlin Castro, Derek Dietrich, Lewis Brinson in a 1-run game.
Now Ramos has been hot since his return to the big league roster from AAA. 1.71 ERA over his last 62 appearances. That goes back to last year. He's been good. He's been up and down a couple of times this season. 153 batting average against since his return.
There's a strike. Of course, the Dodgers are, in fact, with that win today, currently tied with the Colorado Rockies atop the National League West. Now the Rockies get the San Francisco Giants in a little bit. That game not yet underway. But whether it be the division or the wild card, the Phillies have an eye on what's going on with the Dodgers. And LA with that 17-4 win today in St. Louis. Wide of third, 2-2. Now, how would you like to drive in 6 runs if you're Cody Bellinger and not have driven in the most runs on your team in a day?
I'd be okay with it.
Right. We get 7 RBIs, Bellinger 6. That's the most combined RBIs in a game since June 12th, 1949, when Gil Hodges and Billy Cox had combined for 14 RBIs. That's in Dodgers history.
What a series for Puig. What a day for Puig.
That's right.
Just go to the start time from last night through today.
Ramos retires Castro for the first out here in the 6th. And it's Derek Dietrich.
Well, for Ramos, as I said, that 4-seam fastball and slider, that's the combination you'll see the most of. Likes his slider an awful lot. It's in that 84 to 87 mile an hour range. The 4-seamer near 94.
double for Dietrich back in the second inning. Didn't miss a home run by much. Hit it about halfway up the wall in dead center. Came around to score the first run of the game. You know, if I had a nickel for every time I said there's action in the bullpen tonight, I would take you to lunch, pal. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. But there's action in the bullpen.
You'd have a dime short of a dime short of $1.
Grounded foul. Right now, Tyler Kinley is up for the Marlins in their pen. And Hector Neris up for the Phils in their pen. Velasquez started through 2 innings. Arano an inning and a third from Davis, 2/3 from Garcia. And now Ramos with 1 out thus far here in the 6th. Set for a 2-2 pitch to Dietrich, who rips this one foul.
Well, you realize we're halfway through this ball game here in the top of the 6th inning. 5-4, Phillies 1-run lead. We've only had 2 hitters face a pitcher twice.
Halfway, that's it.
That's it. That's all I can give you. JT Riddle faced Velasquez twice. And Ramos faced Graves twice. He started off that second inning and batted against him again in the 3rd. So that's it. Everybody else, it's 1 for 1.
Wow. The game of matchups tonight.
Guess what?
What's that now?
Halfway through.
Or halfway through it. Yeah. Halfway through. Still a whole.
More to come.
Still a whole.
You like change? Stay tuned.
Left. Yeah. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Dietrich. A check. He went around. It gets all the way to the backstop, and Dietrich is going to reach first base.
Let's watch that swing in slow motion. It's a breaking ball, a slider. That's 50-50. As soon as he sees the call from third, though, hustling down the line.
One on, one out for Lewis Brinson, looking for his first hit tonight. Strikeout in the 2nd, ground out in the 4th. Strike, 2-1. Phillies this year are 44-29 at home. It's their most home wins since they had 52 victories here at Citizens Bank Park back in 2011. Brinson, right side. Hoskins makes the catch. Not an easy play at all.
It certainly was not. I'll watch it from high home. Hoskins puts his head down, starts to pursue it. Does a nice job of giving himself a chance to make this catch by merely getting into the area. He reaches out. It's our bonefish fresh catch of the day, as it should be. It's a pretty nice catch.
Here's Austin Dean. Popped up for Hoskins. This one a little more routine. Through 5.5. It's a one-run game.
And the Phillies. Hey, the Marlins have a ton of cool promotions going on right now, but this one just may be my favorite. Did your mom introduce you to the sport of baseball? Has she taught you about the game? Does she drive you to all of your practices? If so, then you need to nominate your mom for the Marlins Mom Appreciation social media contest and give her the chance to throw out the first pitch on September 21st at Marlins Park when the Marlins take on the Reds. Visit marlins.com/mom for all of the details. Guys.
Oh, that's excellent stuff. Yeah, I mean, I would nominate my mom for sure, but she's still up in Connecticut, so I know she can't make it. So I'd probably nominate my wife instead. How about that?
I nominate Mars. I think she should do it.
Just had to one-up me there, didn't you?
Well, you've got one child. My wife has 4. We have 4. Well, during the baseball season, she has 4.
That's right. Come on.
Put your hands out. Catch it. It's coming in.
Yeah, that's a little low.
Are you ready?
I was ready for that
We
one.
haven't got you a ball all season long.
No, I know. It's been
I told you last year, I couldn't have been 10 games in and I got a ball in the booth.
You're like a magnet.
Came right
Me,
up here.
Not so much.
I'm telling you, we really haven't even been close this year.
No. There was like one.
Early on.
Yeah. That was it. Ball and 2 strikes. Ken Lee, the new pitcher for the Marlins. That makes 5. 2 innings for Graves, the second and the third. One, 2 to Quinn. Upstairs. Look out. 97.
Kinley's got a live fastball. We've seen 95 to 97 around the plate. Basically, since he's put that Marlins uniform on, this is only the 4th time he's pitched for him in the month of September, but it's been good.
Cut on and missed, and that's the first out here in the 6th. Beat the Heat.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Love that ad.
Clearly. Ready to beat the heat?
Ready to beat the Heat. We've
Just ready to see the, I'm ready to see the sun. Whether the heat comes with it, I mean, I know it does when we go home, but
right.
My goodness.
When that plane door opens tomorrow night.
What have we had? 2 days of sun, 2 of 10?
Yes. Something. There's Drupal Cabrera. A double and a run scored back in the 5th. Yeah, you know it's bad when I heard people complaining of vitamin D deficiencies. People come up to me and I was like, oh, it's cloudy again today. I know. I need some vitamin D. One ball and 1 strike to Asdrubal Cabrera. Got on and missed. And back-to-back strikeouts for Ken Lee.
Join us for Comunidad 305 when we celebrate Miami's diversity on September 22nd. Purchase a package to receive an exclusive t-shirt and enjoy post-game entertainment by Gio Beta. Tribute to Mark Anthony in the 5th base presented by Corona Light. Purchase tickets at marlins.com/Comunidad 305.
J.P. Crawford takes the at-bat with 2 outs here in the 6th inning. High fly ball deep center field, but Burnson has room to make the catch. Nice inning by Ken Lee. 5-4 after 6. Series tomorrow, Marlins and Phillies. Marlins live pregame show on the air at 1 o'clock. And the first pitch a little after 1:30 here in the city of brotherly love. It'll be Jose Urania on the mound for the Marlins. And Nick Pivetta gets the ball for the Phils on a Sunday afternoon to wrap up this 3-city, 10-day road trip. Closer look at the pitching matchup. We can only hope that the starters go a little longer tomorrow, because there have been rapid changes tonight.
Well, I'm going to say they're going to have to go longer tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll put some emphasis on that. Well, listen, we know how well Urania has been throwing the baseball. Excited to see him kind of continue on that stretch. Last 4 have been outstanding.
Hector Neris in for the Phillies. 47th game for him. He'll face Sierra. Rafael Ortega has come out in the on-deck circle. That's the pitcher spot. And then back to the top of the order for JT Riddle. But first, it's Sierra, who's got 2 hits in the ball game. One of them a bunt single. Maybe thinking of another one right there. 0-1. Kyle Bearclaw up, perhaps getting ready for the bottom of the 7th. Inside to Sierra, 2-1. Got a piece of that one at 95 miles an hour, and it looks like it may have gotten a piece of Ramos behind the plate as well. Top of the order, that's Riddle, 1 for 3, and that one was a bases clearing double back in the 2nd inning. Part of that 4-run frame for Miami. One more look at the foul tip. Yeah,
it almost got underneath the mask. Got a little left cheek. Plate umpire Jim Wolf giving him some time. Mask off, make sure he's okay. Come out and check him out.
He seems to think he's all right.
That's kind of interesting. You see him pointing to his right side, right? He kind of took the, at least looked to my eyes, that the brunt of the contact was to the left side.
So Sierra digs back in and awaits a 2-2 pitch. .96 miles an hour, maybe tipped into the glove of Ramos. Either way, a strikeout for out number 1 here in the 7th.
Well, Neris looking to improve upon at 14.04 strikeouts per 9 innings. He has been dominant this season. 6th best in big league baseball. 4-seam fastball, splitty. Throws hard. 94-97 on the gun.
So it is Ortega. And a strike. One for 3 last night, had a walk. Sharply hit single off of Hoskins' glove at first, thrown out trying to stretch it to a double last night, but pops up on the infield here for the 2nd out in the 7th. Well, for Neris, he had 26 saves for the Phillies last year, and he's got 10 saves for them this year. But to Holly's point, the strikeout per 9 rate has gone up by 4, 3.5. But either way, it's gone up considerably from last year when he was very effective. Pitched to a 3.01 ERA with those 26 saves. And now Riddle smacks one out to right field, and Bautista will play it off the wall. Here comes the throw from right. Another double for Riddle. That's his second 2-base hit of this game.
Yeah, you're not going to get a fastball by JT right now. Look at this. That's letter high. That's up out of the strike zone. He takes that pitch. It's a ball. But you're not going to get 95, 96, 97 by him right now. He is locked in. He's seeing the ball very, very well. We were talking about it, him unloading the bases against Vince Velasquez, and knew if he threw him a fastball of any type near the plate, he was going to put a good swing on it. That's the hottest hitter in the Marlins lineup right now. Two-hit night, 3 RBI night for JT Riddle. May have found himself a new home for the next couple of weeks there at top of the lineup.
It's the first game this season in which he's registered 2 doubles.
Now, so much of big league hitting, and I think the comparison here, you see with 2 outs, Brian Anderson down 0-2, not missing your pitch. And I talked how he's on that fastball right now, even outside the strike zone, where Brian Anderson's kind of battling that a little bit right now.
Cut on and missed. A tying run stranded in scoring position. We go to the bottom of the 7th in Philly. Bearclaw is on the mound. Of course, Kyle Bearclaw's second half has been a bit more of a struggle than it was in June.
Well, it certainly has been. Remember, he was the National League reliever of the month for the month of June. I mean, just absolutely outstanding numbers in that month. But since that month of June, 0-4, 5 lone saves, an ERA above 12. One thing he has done is he's fallen behind a little bit more. 28 hits. That really tells the story in just 14 2/3 innings. Of course, the opponent's batting average has gone up too. And you see the numbers. Now, that month of June was absolutely outstanding. Kind of filed down. There's a couple of ones that we could really point out. Remember, you mentioned it an awful lot, how fast those outings were in the month of June. 13.3 pitches. Since then, 24. I mean, what does that tell you? Almost double. So again, that gets into strike efficiency, which takes you back up to the top. You see he's not throwing nearly as many strikes, but when he is, he's getting hit a lot harder. 421 batting average against compared to the 045 in the month of June.
So he's pitching in a 1-run game with the Marlins down 1 here in the 7th. Top of the order, it is Hernandez, Hoskins, and Bautista. A 3-run homer for Hernandez his last time up. That kind of spun the score from a 2-run deficit to a 1-run lead. But Hernandez is out on the ground ball, 1 away here in inning number 7. Well, for Bearclaw and how he's going to be used, or at least how Don Mattingly hopes these last couple of weeks go, Donnie said yesterday it'd be nice to see him finish positive. He needs a little success. And right now is really the longest stretch of him not pitching well. I mean, there are going to be ebbs and flows, and you know, sure, there are going to be guys who pitch the way Zach Britton did a couple of years ago in Baltimore. But for the most part, guys will have their ups and downs. But the up was really good in June. You noted, right? The down's been kind of tough.
Well, and to his defense, listen, I'm not going to sit here and try and argue against a batting average against a 421 or a slugging percentage of 763 since July 1st. I mean, that tells you, you know, that there's more going on there than just some bad luck. But the point is, there has been some bad luck involved. I think back to a couple of outings where a ball in the infield, the play didn't get made, the next hitter up, where that would have been the final out in the inning, the next guy goes deep. You know what I'm talking about. Right. There's been 3 or 4 of those instances. But when you're teetering emotionally, and trust me, every major league player lives with high levels of emotion. Now, the best of us kind of figure out how to do it in front of everybody without everybody knowing about it.
Right.
But you feel what you're going through. In Bearclaw, no doubt, and he does this as well as anybody, right? He's got that stoic look on his face. You don't know if he's gone 24 straight without giving up a run, or 24 and he's given up a run in those 24. He fools you an awful lot, but he's feeling what he's going through right now. Great pitch right there. And the point being is that he's going to get through this at some point. It's going to turn back around.
Don Mattingly talked about it yesterday. Take a listen.
Really, honestly, I think it's about location. I mean, the pitch he gives up the home run yesterday is a changeup that he leaves up in the zone and pulls it towards the guy. The pitch to Frazier, I think, was a fastball. He's trying to go away, and it ran right back to his hot spot. And I think that's probably, if you want to put one thing physically and one knock on Claw over the time he's been here, it's never been good fastball location.
So that was Don Mattingly yesterday, and that, of course, was on the heels of the back-to-back home runs that helped give the Mets the walk-off win the other day.
And I think Don Mattingly's kind of really hinting around exactly what they're hoping for him in his future. I mean, the month of June really explains it. What did he talk about? Strike percentage. In the month of June, when he was so dominant, the batting average against 0.45, 68% strikes. Since July 1st, 56. And we talk about the significance in those numbers. We talk about this stuff all the time. I mean, again, it makes everything else go. How about first pitch strike percentage? 68% in the month of June. 41% since July 1st.
Yeah, it's tough when you're working from behind. It's tough when you're walking guys.
Right.
And it's tough when you're not getting results,
but
too.
Part of it is that the stuff has not just completely gotten away from it.
Right.
This is more of a command. This isn't, oh my goodness, he's not throwing 3 miles an hour as harder than he used to. You know what I mean? He didn't drop 3 miles an hour on his fastball.
Called strike 3, gets Bautista back-to-back strikeouts, and a crisp 1-2-3 inning for Bearclaw. 5-4 to the 8th. Urania goes in the series finale tomorrow, and he has really been a different pitcher since, well, the incident, as we'll call it. 4 starts, 3-0, 2.22 ERA. There's a complete game mixed in there. He's been solid.
Yeah, without getting into, the whole Urania episode or reliving it, since he's come back, I mean, there's no denying the level of conviction that Urania has been pitching with. We noted it the minute he came back, that first start back. We saw the fastball, we saw the slider, we saw his changeup early. He's been aggressive, he's attacking the zone. I mean, so many things going well for him right now. I'm really looking forward to that start tomorrow. I mean, again, the role that he is on, I've seen him over the last 2 seasons, Paul. This is the hottest he's been.
Yeah, you can
really
tell
is.
He's also pitching maybe another tick on the fastball, but he's just kind of pitching with a little bit, I don't know, a different demeanor, too.
A little swagger.
He's always had that kind of bulldog mentality, but it almost seems like, for whatever reason, it's almost been harnessed a little bit more, too.
Would you agree with me if I said it this way? That swagger that we talk about, at times I think you watch him and you think he's pitching with anger, which I think in baseball terminology we use as he's angry and he's pitching with that and it motivates him. I think he's pitching with a heightened level of confidence, almost, yeah, I'm going to attack the zone, but I'm going to do it a little differently. There's not that stubbornness that I think we see from him at times. Like early on this season, he was a victim of blown up innings, those big innings that would kind of get away from him, but the rest of the game he'd be great.
Right.
He's attacking the corners right now. He's making his pitches, then he's moving on to the next hitter. It's almost like he's pitching with a quicker pace.
Yeah.
He's been good.
2 balls and a strike from another new pitcher, Tommy Hunter, to JT Realmuto. A bounding ball up the middle as Drupal Cabrera. That is out number 1. Off to St. Pete for T-Mobile, built for baseball. 4-4 game, bottom 8. Jake Bauers with a homer. And when you see his reaction, you'll know that he knew that he got all of it. Right about there. How about it?
Yeah, pretty confident. I'll tell you, he's been struggling a bit for the Rays. He's really starting to find that stroke. He really slowed down. He had gone a number of games without an extra base hit. There's no doubt that was an extra base hit.
That was an extra base hit. And that game has, in fact, gone final. It was 7-4 after the homer. The A's scored a run on the top of the 9th. But Tampa Bay wins that one at 7-5. And the A's and the Yankees battling for that wild card spot, or at least to host the wild card game. The Yankees lost to the Blue Jays 8-7. But the Yankees made a charge late, a 6-run bottom of the 7th inning to close it to a 1-run game, but they couldn't get over the hump. So the up-to-date AL wildcard standings, Yankees 1.5 up on Oakland to host that game. Right back up the middle. Hernandez to it and gets Castro. And it went through Hunter and Hernandez. Not an easy play up the middle on the backhand. That's out number 2.
Yeah, certainly was not. Hernandez forced to go to that backhand after it gets past Hunter. He got rid of it much quicker. Play right here kind of had me thinking back to the Dean ground ball. And I think Hernandez probably realizes he needed to be a little quicker.
So now it's Dietrich with nobody on and 2 out. Dietrich doubled and scored back in the first inning, in the second inning, that is. Struck out in the 4th. Struck out but reached base on a wild pitch in the 6th.
Well, Hunter comes in as one of the hotter hands out of the Phillies bullpen. 1.69 ERA over his last 17 appearances.
Left center field, long run for Quinn. He'll make the catch. Boy, he can track him down in the outfield, can he?
He sure can.
Made a bid for a double in the gap, but Quinn makes the play. Welcome back to Philadelphia. German Heritage Night here at Citizens Bank Park. A lot of fun at the yard. A 5-4 deficit. We're looking into it. We have texts out to Mike Lowell to see if that is at all a family member on the left, a brother, perhaps just Mike Lowell in a hat. I don't know. Could be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we found that man.
Yes.
It's just like him.
It does.
It's amazing.
Wilson Ramos, Carlos Santana, Aaron Altair due up against Drew Steckenrider, the 14th pitcher of the night.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Both teams have used 10 players in the 9th spot in the order. Could be more. Pat Neshek. Inside to Ramos, 2-1. Ramos walked and scored in the 2nd, grounded out, singled in the 5th. Screamer into the upper deck. On the ground to Castro. With time, one away.
MLB.TV is now available at a lower price. For just $49.99, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game. Let's get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer. Good start for Steck.
Now Carlos Santana. Nobody on. 1 out, bottom 8. Takes the ball outside. A 2-base error back in the second came around to score. A fly ball and another walk. Santana's been doing that quite a bit this year. However, that was only the 10th walk this year in 76 plate appearances against the Marlins. He's got like roughly 1,000 walks against everybody else.
Right. His story against the Marlins this season is hot and cold.
Yes.
I mean, he was like 6-inch thick ice, you know, the first, I don't know, 10 or so games, but 3 for 33 or 3 for 36 to start. And basically a Roman candle since.
No relation to Roman Quinn. No.
But 12 for 28 is pretty hot coming into tonight's ball game.
Pretty hot.
A couple of homers.
Payoff pitch to Santana. Deep drive, right field. Looks like Sierra is going to have room. Just got under that one. And Sierra kind of rode the wall and made the catch on the track. There's Aaron Altair. A walk and 2 strikeouts tonight. Had the multi-home run game last night. Last night was the 7th multi-home run game by a Philly player this season. Right field line giving chase Sierra. He's not going to get there. Long run for Castro, too.
Is it me? I mean, we talk about this ballpark. I mean, we've seen it a number of times this season, as we do every year. You know, that corner, it's like balls gravitate to what I call one of the most dangerous corners in all of baseball, especially for a corner outfielder. You run across, and you know that the wall is not even along the foul line, but then you've got that sharp corner, and you can come in from where the ball boys and ball girls sit.
Right.
Watching Sierra run right there, I'm sitting there thinking, you've got to be so careful as an outfielder to keep your eye on that.
Well, did you see what happened with Kevin Pillar a week or so ago? It was a play similar to that, where he's the right fielder, he's coming in, and right where her name is Kimberly, I saw her on the back of her jersey before, right where she was had the stool. It was a security guard, and Pillar went to slide to make the catch and got whacked in the face with the stool.
Wow.
Dietrich makes the play in foul ground. See, moving the stool. Luckily, nobody got hit. To the 9th.
Take a look. We told you about the Cleveland Indians game and getting into the postseason. How about this, right? First pitch of the ball game, tries to bunt his way on, doesn't get it down. That's Francisco Lindor. Second pitch of the ball game, he says, yeah, not going to do the bunt thing. He ignited a rout on the second pitch of the ball game. I mean, they went on to score 15 runs in this one, and yeah, you see the celebration.
6 in the first, 5 in the second, 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth, and then from then on out, it was just let's plan the party. Congratulations to the Cleveland Indians. They have won the American League Central, the first team to clinch a division this year. I figure the Red Sox will be next. Their magic number at last check, I believe, was 4, so they could clinch the East within a couple of days. Pat Neshek comes in, his 26th game of the season. Brinson, Dean, Sierra, the batters due up with the Marlins down a run here in the 9th inning. There have been some defensive changes for the Phillies. Carlos Santana now over at first. Cabrera is at third. Florimon at second. But it will be, that is Florimon, and can't recover in time. So check that. Florimon is at short. And what do they always say? The ball
will find you. Sure enough. That's pretty routine. You see Florimon setting up. It's the exchange. He has the ball in the glove, fielded it cleanly. It's, I don't want to say, he kind of was sticking his throwing arms, his hand into the glove. Maybe too quick a transfer, but a little bobble, and it's all Lewis Brinson needed.
All right, so the Marlins have the tying run aboard. Now it's Austin Dean.
Second error tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. They've had some issues with the errors this season.
Started the day with 108, second most in baseball.
Neshek does not throw hard. You'll see the fastball in that 88-mile-an-hour range. He'll touch 90. And it's more about mechanics and angle and tilt. Slider and change as well. There's the fastball. Generally sits in the upper 80s, low 90s. The slider, 83, 84. I watch Neshek. You know who I think of? Former Marlin Brad Ziegler. You know, a little different mechanics, but similar approach.
0-2. And that one upstairs. Any thoughts whatsoever to starting Brinson to try to get him in scoring position in the 9th inning? Numbers on Ramos: 11 caught stealing, 29 stolen bases.
Well, to be honest with you, I'd love to be able to say yes, but I mean, the fact of the matter is this: Brinson doesn't run a whole lot. So, I mean, even we're kind of backing this conversation down to, you know, how comfortable is he doing it? Can you ideally send him on the right pitch? I'd love to say absolutely yes, because here's the thing: Neshek is not easy for a catcher to handle. He's got the herky-jerky delivery. He's not terribly slow to the plate, but my point is that you can get a jump on him.
They don't start the runner, and Dean grounds into the double play. 2 down.
Well, you make the error, right? And then you ask for a little redemption. You say, hit me the next one. Please hit me the next one. Well, Pedro Florimon certainly thrilled with this. Handles it just cleanly. Gets it done. Quick exchange to Hernandez, and on its way to first.
WB Mason, Marlins Live post-game show. Craig, Tommy, and Gabby back in the studio. Magneuris Sierra, the last hope for the Marlins. Phillies have the corners in. And Sierra bunts it foul. He had a bunt single in the 4th, and I want to say that he has attempted to bunt in every at-bat. So the Phillies are on to him. Doesn't bunt here. Takes strike 2. Marlins are down to their final strike. High chopper to third. Cabrera picks it and gets the speedy Sierra. Not an easy play at all. But Cabrera makes the play. The Phillies pick up the win. A 5-4 victory tonight, as they have taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series, and the Marlins' road woes continue. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Well, that's going to do it here from Citizens Bank Park. Again, the Phillies have won the first 2 games of this series. Marlins Live post-game show coming up from South Florida on the other side of the break. See you tomorrow afternoon, folks.